there's a ton of different stuff, right? So if you go to the store, you buy a packet of steak, for example, the plastic wrap on top of it, that's going to leach xenoestrogens into the steak. Women on birth control, this is a very interesting thing. When women take birth control, they've done studies, women on birth control, more often than not, prefer men with less masculine facial characteristics.
Really?
Yes. So women, you hear stories about this all the time. A woman will go on birth control and not be attracted to her boyfriend anymore, or she will be with a guy, get off of her birth control, and then all of a sudden she's like, wow, I'm not sexually attracted to my boyfriend at all. There's a massive assault.
I wanted to say
What'd
something
you say?
about
Aren't
that.
those like freak occurrences?
It's common. It actually happened to one of my best friends.
I got married to my husband. We went on our honeymoon. The doctor put me on birth control, and you can ask him, just DM him. I did not want to have sex with him, and I was angry at him. And I told my doctor, get me off this junk. So she took me off it, and we were back to normal.
Nice. That's a perfect example. You know the other thing about birth control too? This is crazy. So you guys know what pheromones are? Like the things our bodies emit. You know, you smell a healthy person's pheromones, makes you more attracted to them, makes you want to have sex with them, so on and so forth. A person's you can actually smell a person's pheromones, and if their immune system is a good match for your immune system in terms of producing a kid, they will be more attractive to you. Okay, so they did a study where they had men wear shirts for like 3 days, and then they put their shirts in plastic bags, and they had women on birth control and off birth control smell the shirts. The women who were off birth control, when they smelled the shirts, they were attracted to the men who had complementary immune systems. And the women on birth control they couldn't tell which men, they weren't more attracted to the men with good immune systems for them.
How could they tell if they had complementary immune systems? What was the test for that?
They like studied, I don't know, like their DNA or their like microbiome, something like that. I don't know.
Where was the study found?
Where was it found?
I've seen one like that.
Just online.
Just online.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look up studies on how birth control changes women's mating preferences, there's like a ton of literature, and it's dramatic.
Show of hands, who's on birth control currently?
I think mine is non-hormonal.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, there are some non-hormonal. Is it the copper IUD?
It's an IUD, and they when I went in to complain, I didn't go in to complain. I was doing a lot of research on hormones, and I went in and I said I want to get my hormones checked.
Sure.
They said why your birth control doesn't contain any hormones, and I was like, weird. Don't know how that's possible.
How does it work then?
I think it just blocks the fallopian tubes from releasing the egg into the uterus to get fertilized.
Yeah,
it's like a little.
Yep, like an umbrella with a copper.
Word.
A copper spring at the bottom of it, and the copper also destroys any type of implantation.
Okay,
Copper's got to do something.
We're talking the feminization of men.
I can draw you a picture.
I want to drop one of my conspiracy theories. Okay, so when was the birth control pill introduced?
Late 60s. I think 68. Wait.
Okay. So
when everyone was getting all freaky.
72. It was around around the feminist movement.
All right, so we got all these weak guys nowadays. How many generations of women have been on birth control when they picked their husbands, then came off the birth control and got pregnant? And has there been, for the past 60 years, a selection pressure artificially from birth control, making women choose to mate with men that have more feminine characteristics? And are their offspring? Are you guys following me?
Yeah. I'm following.
Like that's like multiple Okay, so like if birth control makes women prefer men with more feminine facial features, women go on birth control, they find a dude, they marry him, they get off the birth control, they have kids. That's generations of women picking men with more feminine characteristics and then producing kids with them.
You think we're doing like eugenics, like we want all women everywhere, a world of women only?
Can I take
but
it
it's
a step
not like a world of women only, but like it's like a dysgenic like psyop, making women have more feminine boys.
Who's in charge of the
psyop?
The murder rate went down.
I can't answer that question, otherwise this channel would get banned.
If we're on birth control, we come off to have children, and those children are now the boys of the world. could that birth control be leading to the feminization of men?
It's possible. I don't know.
Like while they're in the womb, you mean?
Well,
like
you're not taking birth control while you're pregnant.
But the leftover effect, the residual effect
100%,
within your system.
100%. So if you're
possible.
saying that it's leading us to be attracted to more feminine men, what's to lead it to not produce?
What's the point?
Produce a more feminine.
I mean, it might,
I'm just adding to your
when women
theory.
take hormonal birth control, it's just brute forcing their bodies with tons of hormones, and it also can deplete nutrients. This is why a lot of women actually become infertile after they come off hormonal birth control. All those nutrients maybe are making less feminine or more feminine boys. There's a lot of stuff at play. It's possible. I don't know. Once you start just like adding tons of hormones to the body though, and all of these like poisons in the environment, like you get screwed up people.
And also one thing I feel like you forgot to mention was like most boys are not growing up with a father in the home. Yeah. And I think that's like
really bad.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad.
So bringing it back to the question in terms of do you want to be submissive? You want to prefer 50-50 in a relationship? I think we had Wendy answer. What about you?
I think it just depends on the relationship, like the person. Like if the guy's okay with being submissive and the girl wants to be dominant, okay. If the girl wants to be submissive, that's fine too. It kind of just depends on what each of them want, what the relationship looks like.
Which do you prefer?
Yeah, what do you prefer?
50-50.
You like 50-50?
You don't want like a strong boyfriend who wants to lead and you can follow him?
I want a strong boyfriend, but like I want to be able to have the opportunity to push back a little bit if my opinion differs. Like if I want something different and it's important to me, I don't want a boyfriend that's just going to be like, oh no.
You don't want a tyrant?
Yeah. I don't want someone that's just going to tell me everything to do because, I don't know, I have my own opinions with everything.
So here's the biblical idea, the biblical picture of dominance and submission. This is a loving dominance, okay? The example is Christ. Ephesians chapter 5, you can go read it later. But it says that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He laid down his life for the church. If you're not, dating or married to a man that's not willing to lay down his life for you, that's really not a man you should be with. And then obviously, as you keep going, it says that the wife should submit to the husband. The church doesn't submit to Christ. Christ doesn't submit to the church submits to Christ, just as, the husband-wife relationship relates to Christ and the church, the husband picturing Christ, the wife picturing the church. So,
yeah, love is the key word there. It's a loving dominance.
And
right?
Chase, if I recall, I think you've said that you don't, in your relationship, you don't want to be a tyrant.
Yes.
Like you obviously want to be with an intelligent woman, and you'd be certainly open to hearing what she has to say. But I think, and perhaps you can phrase it. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
It's like this, bro. Like, I look at it from the perspective of raising a family, right? Creating a family. As a man, for me to create a family and bring a family into this world, I am ultimately responsible for everything that happens to it, right? Like I am the commander, the captain of the ship. Whatever happens to the ship, that's on me, right? And I'm willing to take that responsibility. Now, with that said, I want a good wife that I can partner with. I don't want a wife who's like stupid or who isn't going to have valuable input. Like obviously, I'm going to disagree with her on things. There's no question about that. But I want the kind of woman whose counsel I trust. And if our perspectives differ and we're married, I will expect her, even if she doesn't understand where I'm coming from, I will expect her to ultimately submit to what it is that I need her or the family to do, while trusting that it's in ultimately the best interests of the family. Like, I don't want to control her.
Well, I guess that's where I differ. Like, if you guys have opposing opinions, like, that doesn't mean that all the time she needs to be submissive to you.
Yeah, I mean, she's totally allowed to disagree, and because I love her, I'm going to listen to what it is that she has to say.
Well, what if, like, what she had was super intelligent, blah, 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 and you guys were arguing, and she brought up, like, a really good point? Would you back down?
if I'm wrong about something and she brings up a good point and proves to me that I'm wrong, like, I would have the humility to be like, okay, you got me on this one. Great job. Thank you for telling me that.
But doesn't that lead to your trust in her counsel?
It does.
It does,
exactly.
right? Like, that's why
Absolutely.
you would trust that she's the woman for you, because you would trust that that's why you're with her.
Absolutely.
Because
I
she
have
the ability.
Yeah, so I have a perfect example. Have you guys seen the movie 300?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Yes. All right, so in the opening scenes of 300, King Leonidas, there's a messenger from the Persian army that comes to King Leonidas, right? He comes to Sparta. And he basically tells the Spartans, he's like, yo, you guys need to submit to us or we're going to kill all of you, okay? And so they're having this conversation, and King Leonidas is there with his queen. And as they're having this conversation, King Leonidas realizes that he needs to kill this man. But before he kills this man, he looks back at his wife, because it's a massive decision to kill this man. If he kills this messenger from the Persians, the entire Persian army of millions of men is going to descend on Sparta and attempt to kill everyone. It's a big decision. So he looks back at his queen for her counsel, because he knows he needs to kill this guy, and she just nods her head. And like in that moment, he knows, like, okay, like my wife has got me on this. This is the right decision. Like, and then he yells, "This is Sparta," and he kicks the dude into the hole, and then they kill everybody. Like, you want. I feel like as a man, yes,
I had it ready to go.
like as a man, like I want a woman whose counsel I can trust. Like I want a woman who is intelligent, who can see things. And if the thing is, like, with leadership, you have to be humble. You need humility, because if you're a leader and you're wrong about something, you have to know that you're wrong. Like if I'm going to lead my family in a certain direction and I'm accidentally going to lead them off a cliff, I want to know that I'm going to do that. And if my wife tells me that and she can explain it to me and she can help me see that, like I'm gonna have the humility to be like, oh yeah, you're right. And I want the kind of woman that can do that. But if she's wrong about something and I know damn well that she's wrong about it, I'm going to expect her, even if she doesn't agree with me, I'm going to expect her to listen to what it is that I have to say, because she trusts that I have her best interests at heart. Does that make sense?
100%.